Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler separated. And finally, Caryn Chandler married her new secret boyfriend. I will explain everything. Matt and Caryn planned a life together, a dream house, a golden era of retirement filled with grandchildren and sunsets over the farm. But a promise is only as strong as the foundation it's built upon. And as we pieced together from multiple sources close to the family, that foundation was crumbling long before any of us knew. The smiles for the camera hid a world of private pain, broken promises, and a fundamental disagreement that would ultimately tear them apart. Hello, and welcome to Unfiltered Reality. Today, we are bringing you a story that will change everything you thought you knew about the Roloff family. It's a story we've been investigating for months, piecing together information from confidential sources who have, until now, remained silent. Their separation was not a recent event. It happened quietly, behind the scenes months ago. And the reason for their split is the very thing that brought them together, Roloff Farms. But the bombshell doesn't end there. We can exclusively report that while Matt Roloff has been putting on a brave face for the world, Caryn Chandler has not only moved on, she has secretly gotten married to a new man, someone completely outside of the little people, big world universe. Over the next 2 hours, we will take you on a journey through the hidden truth of their relationship. We will reveal the timeline of their secret breakup, the final, explosive fight that ended it all, the identity of Caryn's new husband, and the details of their secret wedding. We'll also explore what this means for a heartbroken Matt Roloff, his children, and the very future of the show that made them famous. This is the story of a dream that died and a secret that was never meant to get out. To understand how it all ended, we must go back to the beginning. The relationship between Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler was, from its inception, shrouded in controversy and speculation. Caryn had been an employee at Roloff Farms for a decade, serving as its manager. When Matt and Amy's marriage publicly dissolved, Caryn was soon revealed as Matt's new partner. Amy Roloff says, "Caryn has been part of pumpkin season, and I've known her for a long time. To think about them together, that hurts." For years, Amy's discomfort was a central theme. Fans were divided. Was Caryn a loyal employee who fell in love with her boss after his marriage was over? Or was she a contributing factor to its demise? While both Matt and Caryn have always maintained their romance began after the separation, the perception of an overlap created a shadow that would follow their relationship for years. This shadow is critical, because according to a source who worked at the farm during that transitional period, Caryn was always fighting an uphill battle for acceptance, not just with the fans, but within the family itself. She was always Caryn, the employee to the kids in the beginning. It took a long time for that to change, and for some of them, maybe it never fully did. She was Matt's girlfriend, but she was never going to be mom. And deep down, she knew she would never, ever replace Amy in that family structure. Former Roloff Farms employee. This feeling of being an outsider would become a recurring theme. While Caryn developed a warm relationship with the grandchildren and found an ally in Matt, the tension, particularly with Zach and Tori, was palpable. And that tension would explode over the single most important asset in the Roloff empire, the north side of the farm. Zach Roloff, I was hoping we could get to a place where we could, make a deal, and I could buy the farm. Matt Roloff says, "My goal is to get the kids to take it over, but it's a business, and we have to be smart about it." The negotiations between Matt and his sons, first Jeremy, and then Zach, became a turning point. As viewers, we saw the fallout. Zach and Tori felt the asking price was unfair, an insult to their legacy. Matt felt his sons weren't appreciating the business reality of the situation. But what we didn't fully see was Caryn's role in all of this. We spoke to a source very close to the family who has requested anonymity to protect their relationships. They described Caryn's position during these negotiations as impossible. Caryn was caught in the middle. On one hand, she was Matt's partner. She had to support him and his business decisions. He's very strong-willed, and he truly believed he was making a fair offer. On the other hand, she could see the emotional damage it was causing. She could see Zach pulling away, see how hurt Tori was. She tried to be a mediator behind the scenes, but the boys saw her as being on Matt's team. They felt she was whispering in his ear, influencing him. Source close to the family. On the show, Caryn herself expressed this difficult position. Caryn Chandler says, "I'm just trying to support Matt. It's a tough situation. I know the kids are disappointed, and it's sad. But this is Matt's business, and he has to do what he thinks is right." According to our source, this conflict was far more damaging to her relationship with Matt than we ever knew. It wasn't just about the kids, it was about her own future. She saw how Matt's stubbornness, his inability to find a compromise, was capable of alienating the people he loved most. And a terrifying thought began to creep into her mind. If he could do this to his own son, what would happen if she and Matt ever had a serious disagreement? Was her position in his life as secure as she believed? This was the first major crack in the foundation. The farm, which was supposed to be the bedrock of their future, had become a source of immense family strife. Caryn was forced to choose a side, and in doing so, she became isolated. The dream of a big, happy, blended family enjoying the farm together was dying. And with it, a piece of her dream with Matt died too. With the kids' plans to buy the farm off the table, Matt pivoted. His new dream was to build a grand, custom home for himself and Caryn on the property. We saw the plans. We saw the excitement. It was to be their forever home. Matt Roloff says, "This is it, babe. The great room will be here, our master suite over there. It's going to be spectacular." But as the seasons dragged on, the dream house remained just that, a dream. Construction was perpetually delayed. First, there were permit issues, then supply chain problems. Then Matt's own indecisiveness. He would change the plans, rethink the layout, get distracted by a dozen other smaller projects on the farm. For Caryn, the endless delays were more than just a logistical frustration. They were a metaphor for their relationship. A close friend of Caryn's, who we'll call Susan, agreed to speak with us. She painted a picture of a woman growing increasingly weary. Caryn is a doer. She's practical. When she decides on something, she wants to see it through. Matt is a dreamer. He loves the idea of the project, the planning, the blueprints. But the actual execution, he gets sidetracked. For years, she heard about this dream house, but all she saw was an empty patch of land. It started to feel like a carrot being dangled in front of her that she would never reach. Susan, friend of Caryn. This frustration began to spill out onto the show, if you knew where to look. There was one conversation in particular that now seems like a startling piece of foreshadowing. Matt and Caryn were discussing the old farmhouse, the one Amy had lived in for so long. Matt Roloff. "You know, maybe we could just live in the big house for a while." Caryn Chandler. "No, I've told you. I would never be comfortable in that house. That was Amy's house. That was her life. I wouldn't feel right there. We need our own place with our own memories." That statement was everything. We need our own place. It wasn't just about four walls and a roof. It was about legitimacy. It was about starting a life that wasn't built on the ghost of Matt's past. The farmhouse represented living in Amy's shadow. The dream house represented a true, equal partnership, and it was never getting built. According to Susan, this became a major source of contention in private. They argued about it constantly in the last year. Caryn would say, "Matt, when are we going to do this? My whole life is on hold." And Matt would get defensive. He'd list all the other things he was working on, the new barn, the rental property, pumpkin season. To him, it was all part of the same big picture. To her, it felt like she was his last priority. Susan, friend of Caryn. The stalemate was psychological. For Matt, perhaps starting construction on the final house meant truly closing the door on other possibilities, like one of the kids changing their minds and buying the farm. The dream house meant the end of the line, the final chapter, and maybe he wasn't ready to write it. For Caryn, The lack of a house meant a lack of commitment, a lack of a tangible future. She had given up her own home to move into a smaller house in Portland, and later spent much of her time at their shared house in Arizona. But her life in Oregon was lived on his turf, in his world, surrounded by his history. The dream house was meant to change that. When it became clear that it was a fantasy, our sources say Caryn began to emotionally check out. The nightmare wasn't the house itself, but the realization that the future she had been promised might never materialize. By early 2024, the relationship, according to our sources, was on life support. They were still filming Little People, Big World, still posting smiling photos on social media. But behind closed doors, the connection was fracturing. The primary issue remained the same: the farm and the future. We managed to speak with another former employee who worked closely with both Matt and Caryn during last year's pumpkin season. Their account of the atmosphere between the two is chilling. The breaking point, we are told, came in the late summer of 2024. It was not a single dramatic event, but a death by 1,000 cuts culminating in one final quiet conversation. Our source, Susan, Caryn's friend, described the final conversation. It happened in Arizona, away from the prying eyes of the farm. Caryn laid her cards on the table. Caryn says, "Matt, I can't do this anymore. We've been talking about a future for years, and we are no closer to it than we were when we started. The house isn't getting built. The family is broken. I'm living in this limbo, waiting for a life that's never going to happen." Matt says, "What are you talking about? We have a great life. We have Arizona. We have the farm. I'm working on it. These things take time." Caryn says, "No, Matt, you have the farm. You have your projects. I am a guest in your life. I love you, but I need to have a life of my own, not just be a part of yours. I don't want to be the reason your family is fractured, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life waiting for you to decide what you want." According to Susan, that was it. There was no screaming, no shouting. Just a heartbreakingly calm and final realization. They agreed to separate. But there was a complication: their contracts with the television network and the upcoming pumpkin season. They made a pact. They would continue to present a united front for the show and for the public until their obligations were fulfilled. It was a business decision designed to protect the Roloff brand and prevent a media firestorm. So, while we were seeing these images, believing the fairy tale was still intact, Caryn Chandler was quietly packing her things. She spent less and less time in Oregon. Her trips to Arizona became solo ventures or trips with her own friends. Matt explained her absence on the farm by saying she was taking a step back to enjoy her retirement, a convenient half-truth that masked the painful reality. They were living separate lives. Matt was in Oregon, consumed by his farm projects, perhaps as a way to cope with the loneliness. And Caryn was reconnecting with a world she had left behind long ago. A world before Roloff Farms. A world where she wasn't Caryn from Little People, Big World, but just Caryn. And in that world, she found someone new. Or rather, someone old. Every secret has a name. And in this story, the name that changes everything is Mark Harrington. So, who is Mark Harrington? Our investigation has led us to a man who is, in every conceivable way, the antithesis of Matt Roloff. He is not a public figure. He has no interest in fame or reality television. He is a private, successful, and stable man who has known Caryn for decades. Our sources tell us that Mark Harrington and Caryn Chandler grew up in the same circles in Washington state. They were friends in their youth but lost touch as their lives went in different directions. Mark built a successful career in real estate, developing commercial properties in Spokane and, coincidentally, spending his winters in Scottsdale, Arizona, the same city where Matt and Caryn owned their vacation home. According to Caryn's friend, Susan, the reconnection was pure chance. After the split with Matt, Caryn was spending more time alone in Arizona. She was at a local coffee shop one morning, and she heard someone call her name. It was Mark. He was there for the winter. They hadn't seen each other in over 30 years. It was a complete shock. They spent hours just catching up, talking about their lives, their kids, their divorces. Susan, friend of Caryn. This chance encounter quickly blossomed into a deep connection. Mark represented everything Caryn was now missing in her life. Matt's world was one of constant projects, public scrutiny, and complex family dynamics. The farm was a character in their relationship. The cameras were always present. Mark's world was simple and stable. He was already successful and financially secure. He wasn't building a dream, he was living one. He offered her something Matt couldn't: peace and anonymity. Susan tells us that Caryn was hesitant at first. The wounds from her split with Matt were fresh. But Mark was patient. He wasn't trying to be Matt Roloff. He had no interest in the farm or the show. He was interested in her. He just wanted to make her happy. He took her to quiet restaurants where no one would recognize her. They went for hikes. They talked for hours without a camera crew waiting outside. He saw her for who she was, not as a character on a TV show. For the first time in years, Caryn felt like she could just breathe. She was giddy. It was like watching a teenager fall in love. Susan, friend of Caryn. Caryn kept the relationship a closely guarded secret. Only a handful of her most trusted friends knew. She didn't want the media circus that would inevitably erupt. She needed to protect this new, fragile happiness from the whirlwind of the Roloff universe. While the world thought she was taking a step back from the farm, she was actually building a new life, a new future, with a new man completely in secret. A secret relationship can only stay secret for so long before it demands the validation of a commitment. For Caryn Chandler, who had waited years for a tangible commitment from Matt Roloff, the decisiveness of her new partner must have been a powerful elixir. After a whirlwind romance of just a few months, Mark Harrington proposed to Caryn in early spring of 2025. There was no grand gesture, no TV crew to capture the moment. According to our source, Susan, he proposed during a quiet sunset at their shared home in Arizona. And Caryn said yes immediately. There was no hesitation. She told me, "Why wait?" She had spent nearly a decade waiting. Mark was sure, she was sure. He wanted to be her husband. He wanted to give her the security and peace she craved. It was everything Matt hadn't been able to do. Susan, friend of Caryn. They decided on a wedding that would reflect their relationship, private, intimate, and meaningful. They didn't want a big affair. They wanted an elopement, and they chose a location that was quintessentially Pacific Northwest, but far from the drama of Roloff Farms, Cannon Beach, Oregon. Public records confirm it. On April 28, 2025, Caryn Lynn Chandler and Mark Stephen Harrington were legally married in a ceremony officiated in Clatsop County, Oregon. We have obtained a copy of the public marriage license. It's real. It's official. The ceremony itself, we are told, was breathtakingly simple. It took place on a secluded part of the beach, late in the afternoon as the sun began to set behind Haystack Rock. The only people present were Caryn, Mark, an officiant, and two of Caryn's closest friends who acted as witnesses. Caryn wore a simple, elegant cream-colored dress. Mark wore a linen suit. There were no cameras, no crew, no Roloffs. Just the sound of the ocean and the words that bound them together. This photo was sent to us anonymously. While grainy, it appears to corroborate the story our sources have told us. A simple ceremony, a world away from the life she once knew. Caryn Chandler became Caryn Harrington, and almost no one knew what had happened. And what of the man at the center of this empire? While Caryn was starting a new life, Matt Roloff was left to wander the grounds of his kingdom alone. The news of Caryn's marriage, we are told, hit him like a physical blow. While they had separated, a source close to Matt says he always held out a sliver of hope that they might reconcile. He believed that once he finally broke ground on the dream house, she would come back. He was blindsided, not by the breakup, but by the speed of it all. One minute he's thinking they're on a break. And the next he hears from a mutual friend that she's engaged. And the wedding. He didn't even know she was seriously dating someone. It completely broke him. The idea that she could move on and get married that fast. It made him question everything about their nearly 10 years together. Source close to Matt Roloff. If you look closely at Matt's social media in the spring of 2025, you can see the subtle signs of a man grappling with immense change. The captions are full of phrases like new beginnings, moving forward, and life throws you curveballs. He's thrown himself into farm work with a manic intensity. The new barn, which was once a side project, has become his singular focus. It's a classic coping mechanism. When your personal life is in chaos, you control what you can, and Matt Roloff can control his farm. The irony is devastating. The farm, the very thing that drove Caryn away, is now his only solace. The dream house plot remains empty, a monument to a future that will never be. He is the king of a 100-acre kingdom, but the queen has abdicated the throne. Our source close to Matt says he is putting on a brave face for his family and for the public. He's still filming, still planning for pumpkin season. But privately, he is heartbroken and deeply lonely. He lost his partner. And in his mind, he lost the last 10 years of his life. A bombshell of this magnitude doesn't just affect the two people involved. It sends shockwaves through an entire family. So how have the Roloff children reacted to the news of Caryn's departure and secret marriage? The reaction, as you might expect, is complicated and varies from child to child. Our source close to the family gave us a breakdown. For Zach and Tori, the news was met with a mix of vindication and sadness. They have been estranged from Matt and Caryn for some time, largely due to the farm dispute. Zach felt like his suspicions were proven right. He always felt Caryn was a major influence in the farm negotiations. Her sudden departure and quick marriage, in his eyes, showed that her commitment was never really to the family, only to Matt. But at the same time, he's sad for his dad. No son wants to see their father get hurt like that. Source close to the family. Jeremy and Audrey, who are more removed from the day-to-day drama, were reportedly surprised but have remained neutral. Their focus is on their own family and their own farm. Jacob and Isabel, who have a closer relationship with Matt, have been his primary support system. They are said to be angry on his behalf, feeling that Caryn was not entirely honest about her intentions during the separation. But the most telling reaction is the one we can all see, the public silence. In the world of the Roloffs, where every major life event is documented on social media, the complete and total lack of any public comment on Caryn from any of the children is deafening. It speaks volumes. This leaves us with the biggest question of all for the fans. What is the future of Little People, Big World? The show has survived a divorce. It has survived family feuds. But can it survive the departure of a central character and the implosion of its main storyline? The Matt and Caryn's future on the farm plot has driven the narrative for years. Without it, what's left? There are several possibilities. The network could decide to end the show, concluding that the story has run its course. Or the show could pivot entirely to focus on Zach and Tori's life in Washington, effectively becoming a spin-off. The most dramatic possibility? The show continues, but now chronicles a newly single Matt Roloff navigating heartbreak at 63, trying to figure out the future of his farm and his family alone. Whatever happens, the show as we know it is over. The dynamics have been permanently altered. The story must now adapt to this new, shocking reality. So there you have it. The secret story of the end of Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler. It's a story about dreams and reality. Matt's dream of a dynastic farm and a perfect final chapter clashed with Caryn's reality of feeling like a perpetual outsider, waiting for a life that was always just over the horizon. She chose to leave the dream behind in search of a simple, quiet reality. She found it, secretly, in the arms of another man. Matt is now left alone, the sole custodian of a dream that cost him his partner and fractured his family. Is Caryn to be blamed for seeking her own happiness? Is Matt to be blamed for clinging so tightly to his legacy that he lost sight of the woman beside him? Perhaps there is no blame. Perhaps this is simply a sad human story about two people who, in the end, wanted different things. The coming months will be telling. Will Matt or Caryn publicly confirm our reporting? How will the next season of Little People, Big World address this? Will Matt finally sell the farm, admitting the dream is truly over? We will be watching, and we will continue to bring you the updates as this incredible story unfolds. The gates of Roloff Farms may be closed to the public for now, but the story is far from over. What do you think about this shocking news? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. More update. Little People, Big World's Matt Roloff tears up while reflecting on his family's ups and downs. I will explain everything. Matt Roloff and his family are reflecting on the 25 seasons of Little People, Big World, and the show's future. Speaking to ET's Cassie DeLaura, the 62-year-old father of four started crying as he discussed the show that documented the most important occasions in the Roloff family's history, including marriages, divorces, and births. According to Matt, who was crying, "I'm just thinking about what a journey. Our family. We love each other. There's been ups and downs, as you can imagine, but I think I think we've accomplished some good things." Less than a month ago, the father of the Roloff family was interviewed for the TLC show's season 25 finale, which many have speculated would also be the show's last. The original show focused on the four teenage children of married couple Amy Roloff, 61, and Matt, but the children have since left the show. Amy and Matt also went through a challenging divorce back in 2016. According to Matt, it's the million-dollar question, and he doesn't even know if network executives are aware that Little People, Big World will get a 26th season. According to Matt, he is unable to say for sure whether the show will continue. Since filming for the show's 25th season ended late last summer, the cast have been on vacation, enabling them to recover from almost 20 years of nonstop filming, he says. If this is really the end, Matt says he's okay with it. The idea of not doing any more TV at all sounds fine to me because I feel very secure in what we've put on air, Matt said. You kind of feel like you've done it when you reach 400 episodes or something, so perhaps the chance will present itself if we ever feel the need to share more. Matt says he finds it hard to look back and not be immensely grateful for the opportunities that came from the series, despite the fact that opinions about the program appear to be mixed overall. We had the chance to take the family to Australia, and Amy had the chance to climb Mount St. Helens. Steph had the opportunity to ride a camel. Matt responded, "You know, things we might not have done." He stated, "I don't know what my life would have been without this show." Given the family's emotional ups and downs throughout the years, season 25's ending would not be shocking to true fans. The family most recently had conflict when Zach, Amy, and Matt's son, along with his spouse Tori Roloff, departed the show. Zach's relationship with his father is still troubled, and the most of these issues stem from the sale of the family farm. Since then, Matt hasn't heard from Zach and Tori, the parents of Jackson, who is 6 years old, Lila, who is 4, and Joja, who is almost 2. That ship's all sailed, Zach said in reference to his relationship with his father in their most recent episode. There is not much of a relationship, just doing things the way we want to. Even though everything will finally level out with time, everything will be healed. In an interview with ET, Matt said he hoped to make amends with Zach, adding that time heals all wounds. That ship's all sailed, Zach said in reference to his relationship with his father in their most recent episode. There is not much of a relationship, just doing things the way we want to. Even though everything will finally level out with time, everything will be healed. In an interview with ET, Matt said he hoped to make amends with Zach, adding that time heals all wounds. Matt says his relationship with his ex-wife, whom he called a dictator in a season 25 episode, is going well right now. It helps that following the legal confirmation of their divorce in 2016, Amy began dating and subsequently married Chris Merrick. On his own initiative, Matt is currently engaged to Caryn Chandler. He says that after surviving the event, he and Amy are far better off, even if they never intended to part ways. He remarked, "I never thought Amy and I would get divorced." Well, it's because of the show. People say, but that's not true. Relationships between people develop and evolve, and I'm very pleased for Amy that she has Chris. We really like them and spend time with them. They're a great couple. Even if we don't always get along, we do hang out and get together. Overall, Matt is pleased with the show's ending and feels that season 25 ought to be the last. For better or worse, he believes his family has influenced the world and the community they represent. "I think Lil People, Big World has really laid out a pretty incredible legacy in terms of society's perception of little people," he said, adding that he had some ideas for the show's overall direction if it were given a second season. "I'm really happy with where it is at the moment and how we concluded, and if it continues, there will be more to tell, which is fantastic," Matt said. "But if there's no more story to tell, I mean, TV today is very, there's a lot of channels with a lot of content. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.